as Yin mentioned earlier, a little later today, Donna is going to be going over a major highlight of the year, showcasing the new Bloom design. So right now, what I'd like to share with you is something related to that, and it is a totally free resource available to you 24/7. Our revamped Orchard design system is yours to use to make your agency apps match the look and feel of your main GovHub website. All right. Now, first, what we're going to do is we're going to briefly go over what a design system is and why using one increases trust and elevates your website visitor experience. Then we're going to delve into how using a design system can streamline multiple tasks for your developers quickly. And finally, we're going to do a walkthrough of everything Orchard offers and how to access your agency's website's palette so you can get started using it right away. If I've done my job well, you can just hop on over and begin working on it, but not until the end of GovTalks. All right then. So some of you may have experience with our previous version of the Orchard design system, but for those of you who haven't used it, let's go ahead and dig in a little bit. Before we look at benefits, I'd like to quickly go over what a design system is. So in a nutshell, a design system is a single source of truth for the design of a website or an application. So what does that truth mean? At a high level, it's a set of guidelines to manage design at scale. At a more zoomed in level, it includes reusable individual components and patterns like the ones you see right here. On a practical day-to-day level, it includes code snippets that can be copy-pasted with all of the design principles baked into it. And before we look at the Orchard style guide and component library, let's take a look at why and when you would want to use it. So everything we do as an agency, of course, is ultimately focused on serving Georgia's citizens in the best way possible. So let's take a look at how the design systems can help us do that. Now, when someone visits your website, they're looking for an easy button. Each time a user visits a new website, they have to learn how that particular site works. And much like having too many open tabs on your web browser, which slows down your computer processor, or in this case, a bunch of magazines on the side table, like my side table, the human mind can only process so much information at a time. And the mental effort needed to learn this new information is called cognitive load. So what does this have to do with design systems in a practical way? Well, when a user visits an agency site, they get used to both the look and how various elements appear when they're interacted with. For example, accordions, promos, and call to action buttons, not only do they all react the same across the entire site, they all have the same symbols and colors to indicate what will happen when clicked. However, if a click on your site takes them to an app from another vendor or another government site that's not on the GovHub platform, two things may happen. One, they may wonder if they took a wrong turn and are still interacting with an official government agency. And two, they now have to reorient themselves and learn what to expect from the elements on the new app. When you use a design system on apps to match the main site, it reassures your users that they're still interacting with someone they trust, and it reduces their cognitive load. Also, a well-constructed design system already includes the accessibility users need, and that'll help out with your gap scores too. And last, as I mentioned briefly before, a design system helps preserve your brand identity and increases trust that the web user is indeed still interacting with the same official government agency that they began the journey with. Now that we know that web visitors like design systems, let's look at what they can do for your team internally. All right, so this audience doesn't need me to tell you the number of apps out there in the world grows daily. And when you're trying to make a non-GovHub app or website blend in with one of our Bloom designs, you have to consider how many pages the app has, plus the number of components on all the pages. It just seems to grow and grow and grow. So if you're a developer building an app from scratch, you can meet demand for new features by leveraging our pre-built styles and components. When working on a team with various projects, the process also becomes more efficient as a design system can keep everybody on the same page. And this also fosters internal product growth while maintaining consistency and trust for your website's visitors. Ultimately, with a design system, the amount of effort saved gives your team more time to focus on other tasks in your agency as well. All right, so in summary so far, after we switched the design of GovHub agencies' sites to the new Bloom design, we also wanted to provide a free do-it-yourself resource, one that will empower developers to carry that design across all of an agency's digital presence. So now let's take a quick walkthrough of what you'll find on our revamped Orchard Design System site. We wanted it to be more than just a library of components, though. Instead, we wanted to create a one-stop shop to make it as do-it-yourself friendly as possible. Here, I have zoomed in to give you a close-up view of the top of Orchard's side navigation menu. Up at the top, you're going to find documentation on how to use Orchard in general. Under that, you're going to find explanations on Orchard's brand personality, the government seal, how to choose photos that match the design themes, plus writing guidelines. Words are just as important as visuals when it comes to a site's brand personality, and you're going to find that guidance here. Now, let's pretend that we just clicked into the Orchard style guide from the side menu. I've zoomed in to show you a closer look at what the pages you're going to encounter there are going to look like. This is where you'll find specifics on all the colors of the various palettes. And you'll find icons for everything from basic print and search images to specifics like a health telescope or the Georgia Capitol. The guide includes type styles along with best practice guidance to use the type styles in an accessible way. But Orchard is not just a repository. It also has features to help you choose the best elements for each job. Let's dive a little deeper and see what you get with one of the components. For example, if we open up radio buttons from the side menu, we get two options. We get a docs page, and then the pages with the blue ribbon icon next to them are called story pages. When we click on docs under radio buttons on the sidebar, and we zoom in on the top of the docs page, this is what it looks like. You'll see the name of the component, a brief description, and a preview of what the component looks like. As you scroll further down the page, you will see the preview is followed by a set of best practices of how to use them to give your website visitors the best experience possible. Remember earlier my side table with all the magazines on it, when we mentioned how your visitors are looking for an easy button to complete their tasks? Well, this is guidance on how to reduce their cognitive load and give them that easy button experience. Because the radio buttons we are using in this example happen to also be a component that's used frequently in forms or a survey, it has additional tips that apply to all form elements. So when you're looking at something like that, you'll see that those areas are going to be highlighted in gray. All right, now, below the best practices, you'll see a visual example of the component's different variations. Now, to keep things simple in this particular example, radio buttons only has one variation, so it looks almost the same as the preview did. There will be a few differences in this section, though. Notice the three icons in the top left of this preview is going to allow you to zoom in and out to look at that component as it would appear in different sizes. And then in the lower far right corner of the component, you'll see a show code button. Clicking on that is going to reveal the code behind the component. So you know everything, right? Nope, wait, there's more. We have more than just best practices and component code. We truly wanted Orchard to be as user-friendly as possible. So in the next section of the page, you can make adjustments to the code without actually going directly into it. Directly beneath the preview, you can change the label of the radio buttons, and you can also type in names for each radio item. There's a toggle to make the buttons as a required question if you're using it in a web form, and you can also customize the description. And then once you've customized everything, you can scroll back up the page and see what it all looks like in the preview to make sure that is exactly what it is that you wanted. Now, if you click on the Show Code button, the code includes all the changes that you've just made. But we're still not done yet. Before you dig in and customize the code, what if you looked over the radio buttons component and you're still not sure if this is the component that's going to give your users an easy button experience? Well, if you scroll to the bottom of the page, you'll see information to help you choose whether or not to use this component. In the When to Use section, you're going to see guidance on when radio buttons would provide a user with the experience that you intended. Or you'll see under the When to Use Something Else section if a different component would actually be more user-friendly. Now you might ask, if all that information is on a docs page, well, what are the story pages for? Not all components are as simple as a radio button. Some of them may have multiple variations to work with. Story pages are for when there are multiple variations of a component and you want to jump to that particular variation's controls. You can see in this example, the footer has two variations in the sidebar. And here are some of what are the controls for the footer, what they look like on a story page. And if you click on the raw button, you can drag to expand the code box as much as you want to interact with the code. So to sum up in this section, our goal with Orchard has always to make it a one-stop shop, and that included giving useful guidance along with the code that instantly reflects your updates. So now do we know everything we need to know? Almost. I said I wanted you to be able to have every single thing so you could just hop right off after GOVTalks and start working. So there's one more thing. Before you start digging into the components, we need to get your website's palette set up. And once you've done this, then everything else is going to look and work appropriately. When you're ready, simply go to the How to Use Orchard tab up at the top of the sidebar where we began. Then you're going to copy paste the first set of code you see to be used inside the head tag of your application. Scroll down to find the agency's color palette and copy that code too. Then there will be instructions on the page on how to combine the two sets of code before you use it. And that's it. You're now ready to dig into the rest of the site that we just went over. Ultimately, we wanted Orchard to give your web visitors a seamless, easy to follow visual experience that they would be excited to shout about, while also making team communication as efficient as we could. So finally, we wanted it to be easy for individual team members to implement the components in a practical way. So the Orchard Design System is a free resource available to you 24/7. So when you're ready to get started, you can head over to the Orchard website at orchard.georgia.gov. And that's all I have today. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you, Julie. Yeah, wanted to follow up. If an agency didn't know what their name of their palette was, we can help them with that, right?
Oh, absolutely. Just contact us and we can get that for you right away.
Absolutely. Okay, great. I did have one question of if you're building a site from scratch, is there guidance on Orchard of how to just get started?
Oh, yeah, actually, we are working on two videos. One small little video to recap this if you don't start working on it right away, and then a longer video that's specifically geared toward anyone who's starting with a blank slate and wants to use the system to do everything from laying out pages, everything you need.
Fantastic. All right, look forward to that, and we'll let everyone know once we have that ready. So, all right, awesome. Thank you very much. I